A ticket for the local fair costs $17 and each ride costs $2.50. We're going to write an equation that represents the cost based on the number of rides. Well, we can use any letter we want, but usually y is a pretty popular one. And this is going to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. The b is the starting value. So just for getting in to the local fair, it's going to cost us $17. So we can put the plus 17 over here. And for all of these, y is always y and x is always x for the variables, unless you use m and n or p and whatever kind of letters you want. We typically don't use letters like I and O, for maybe obvious reasons for the O, because it looks like a 0. And I represents an imaginary number in math. And each ride costs $2.50. So anytime you see the word something is per something, like it's $8 per gallon of gas, it's $12 per pizza, that's probably a good indicator that that's going to be our slope. So we're going to put the 2.50 in right before the x for the m. So what is the total cost for one person to go on 6 rides? Well, we just need to put 6 in for our input variable, which is x for what I used, and that's going to be y is going to equal 2.50 times 6 plus 17. And that is going to give us a value of $32 then. And we have a couple of tables, and we're going to write the equation y equals mx plus b form for both of them. So the value of b is always found. The y-intercept is the value of is the value of y when x is 0. And I'm going to write that down. And I would highly recommend that you put that down in your notes. So the table on the left is going to be much easier than the one on the right, because the one on the left, when x is 0, y is 6. So we already have the b value. So right now, we can put in y equals mx plus 6, and now we just need to find out what the slope is. And there's actually a couple ways we could do this, but I'm going to use probably the oldest fashioned method here. We're going to use the slope formula. That's going to look really intimidating at first. It's y sub 2. It's like an opposite of an exponent, but it's below. It just tells us the type of number we want. So the second y is how we can read it. So this is my first y and my second y, and we don't need the third y, it's just on there. But we could pick these 2 points, and that would work as well. But I'm just going to use these points here. So x1 and x2, why? Because the 0 makes it a lot easier. So once we identify the points that we're going to use, and you want to take the time because it's very easy to switch them around. I'm going to have my second y, so my slope, m, is going to equal my second y, which is negative 6, minus my first y, which is negative 6, or 6, so negative 6 minus 6, over my second x, which is 2, minus my first x, which is 0. Negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12. 2 minus 0 is 2, and this is going to equal negative 6. We're going to simplify it. So my equation, and by the way, take the time to write this down. Do not try to do these in your head. It's very easy to switch around something and make a mistake. So our answer is going to be y equals negative 6x plus 6, and we're done with that point. This next one's going to be a little more difficult. Just for fun, I'm going to pick these 2 to be my points. It doesn't matter which 2 points you pick. You could pick the first one and the third one, and it should work. So let's have my second y be 29, and my first y be 17. My second x is negative 15, and my first x is going to be negative 10. So plugging into the formula, or the equation, my y sub 2, my second y is 29, minus my first y, which is 17, over my second x, which is negative 15, minus my first x, which is negative 10. Be careful when you have subtracting a negative number, which it really means addition. 29 minus 17 is 12. Negative 15 minus negative 10 is really negative 15 plus 10. That's going to end up being negative 5. And I may want to even put this as negative 2.4. That's also be okay. But we need to find the b. We have the m, which is the harder part. So y equals negative 2.4x plus b. Now we need to find the b. Well, we can use any of these points on here. Just for fun, I am going to select this one here. the negative 10 and the 17. So I'm going to put negative 10 in for x and 17 in for y, and then I'm going to solve that for b. So again, I put the 17 in for the y, and the x I put in negative 10. Negative 2.4 times negative 10 is a positive 24. So we have 17 equals 24 plus b. And then to get b by itself, I'm going to subtract 24 on both sides. That means that negative 7 is going to be our b value. And that means the final equation is going to be negative 2.4x, or we could write the fraction, that'd be totally acceptable as well, minus 7. So if you have any kind of questions, ask your math teacher.